we're taking another trip back to Third Earth today. This time we're looking at the Matty Collector Jackalman figure from their ThunderCats Classics line. Okay, let's take a quick look at packaging, and as usual with the Matty Collector type of lines, and especially with this ThunderCats line, these figures come in a mailer box. This one is different from the previous ThunderCats I've looked at, in that this one has the mumm-ra logo with the two serpents on the box instead of the ThunderCats insignia. So we've got the logo there, we've got the character name, we've got some artwork with Castle Plundar on the left side, the back is blank. We've got Jackalman artwork on the right. As far as the actual packaging goes, same kind of package we saw Lion-O in, the kind of window box style here. We've got Lion-O doing Sight Beyond Sight down at the bottom, Jackalman with the two accessories and extra hands here, and then we've got some Jackalman art on the side. We've got Jackalman art and Castle Plundar on the back, and we've got a bio. And similar to the Thunder Kittens, the bio incorporates some of the 2011 show into this. And I don't know if they're doing that on purpose or if it was a mistake. The only difference on Jackalman's bio is that it gives him a name. In the 2011 show, his name was Kanar. In the original show, the mutants did not have names. He was simply Jackalman of the Jackalmen. So it's a kind of a non-issue, but it's just something that sticks out to me. And then we've got the character name on the other side with the ThunderCats logo. So let's pop this guy out and take a look. Okay, let's dig into this figure here. And Jackalman was the second figure to be released in the subscription for the ThunderCats Classic. So he came out October 2016. We didn't get him in October, but that's when he came out. So first impressions right off the bat is that this figure absolutely nails it. I absolutely love this figure. He looks like Jackalman. He's got excellent detail all over. I love this head sculpt, and you know, it's a ThunderCats figure, so like I've said before, I'm essentially contractually obligated to like it. So as far as that goes, let's kind of dig into the sculpt here and see what he's got. So let's start with the head. The head sculpt is really nice. We've got a lot of fur detail all over it. We've got the two-tone paint job for the different shades of fur. We've got a little bit of wash in some of it. We've got the dark eyes. We've got the fangs are painted nicely with the white paint. We've got fur that comes over the character's right shoulder, and this is actually part of the armor. As you can see, that's how they managed to get it on there. So he's got the armor piece with the kind of emblem here in the middle that doesn't really have anything on it, but it didn't in the show either. We've got the furry body with the textured sculpting on it. He's got an ab crunch. The head can go all over, but he doesn't have a great deal of neck motion, and that's because of the fact that it sits on this armor piece. So, you know, that's kind of a negative, but it hasn't really bothered me too much. You can still get him to look down a little bit. We've got kind of the standard Motu Classic style of articulation. So we've got a hinge and rotation at the shoulder. We've got a bicep swivel. We've got single jointed elbow. We've got a hinge and a swivel at the wrist. We've got waist swivel. We have pretty decent leg rotation and swivel, and we've got thigh swivel rotation. We have a single jointed knee. We have an ankle hinge, and then not really any kind of rocker or rotation in there though. So as far as articulation goes, he's pretty normal. He's kind of what we expect from a Masters Classics, ThunderCats Classics at this point. There is one kind of glaring problem with this figure, and I still have a hard time noticing it, but the more I look at it, the more I can see it, is that according to pretty much everyone, the calves and the ankles are swapped. So this one should be over here, this one should be here. Now, I haven't taken the time to heat these up and pop them out and swap them, but the more I look at them, the more they do kind of look like this one should be over here, just based on the way the muscle is. So you can kind of see the musculature in there. We've seen this before with other figures. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't cause any problems. He can stand up just fine. But the more I look at it, the more I see it. So I'm probably going to have to take a hairdryer to him and pop those off. Now, there is a lot of sculpted fur all over this figure. So He's got that kind of Beastman type look. We've got fur all over the legs, all over the arms. He's got the loincloth, the belt, and the crossguard here on his armor kind of has like a worn leathery look to it. And then he's got the armband here. And this is not removable. It's sculpted onto the figure. The armor, however, is removable. And I'll pop that off real quick. So it just comes off at that red emblem. But what you have to do is you have to pop the head off. So once the head is off, the armor just pops off the buck. Now, what I kind of like about this, and it's something that I haven't decided to do or not yet, but is that you can use, you know, maybe make an army of jackal men and take the armor off to make him, you know, kind of distinguish from his army. It doesn't look right to me though this way. Something about this just kind of looks weird. The neck is pretty tall, and that's because it was covered by that fur piece that's on the armor. So I haven't decided if I'm actually going to do that with some of my extra Jackalman figures, but I like the fact that the armor is removable, and it's just, you know, an added little thing I can do with my figures if I wanted to go down that road. So let's move on and take a look at accessories now. Okay, as far as accessories goes, Jackalman comes with 2 weapons and another set of hands. These hands are a more closed grip style of hand. I haven't really found a need to use them yet. The ones that he comes with out of the box have been fine for my uses so far. So they're there. At least we got one of each hand instead of 2 left hands like Lion-O this time. His main accessory is obviously his club. This is what he came with in the vintage line as well. It's got a lot of nice painted black detail on it to show kind of like a weathered look. The spike on there is painted black, and then there's a bit of a metallic finish at the base of the spike to kind of differentiate it from the actual wood of the club. And then the other accessory that he comes with is this axe. Now, this is Slide's axe. This is not Jackalman's weapon. I assume that this is a reference to the episode Jackalman's Rebellion, where he kind of goes off on his own to build his own army and become the leader of the mutants, and as usual fails. But this is Sly's weapon, so it makes me curious what we're going to get with Slide, assuming, you know, we get him. I guess we'll just have 2 of these if Super 7 ever gets around to making him. But as far as the weapon goes, it's got a lot of like wood texturing on it. Same kind of situation as the club. It's got black wash on it to kind of bring out the wood texture on it. The blade itself is supposed to look like a polished rock, and it looks really good. It's got a lot of like dry brushing on there with the metallic silver, and then there's a more flat gray for the hilt. So I like the accessories. They go well with Jackalman. There's not a whole lot else the figure could come with to be true to the figure. So let's move on and do a quick comparison shot between this guy and his vintage counterpart. So here's our Mattel Jackalman next to our vintage LJN Jackalman, and obviously there's a night and day difference between the two. You can't really compare them. This was my figure as a kid, and you know, I mean, at the time it worked pretty well, and up until now it's worked just fine as a Jackalman figure. It's not a bad figure, especially from the ThunderCats line, which wasn't the greatest toy line overall, just because it was so limited by the action features that they were built in. But overall, I mean, you know, this Matty Collector Jackalman is definitely the definitive figure, and I don't think there's going to be any disputing that anytime soon. So let's wrap this guy up and go over some final thoughts on him. Overall, I love this figure. Not counting the issue with the calves, I think he's a really well put together figure. He looks great. I love the way they handled the fur and the armor kind of combination. I like the accessories. I love the paint job. I love that head sculpt. And at the time when I got him, I liked him a bit more than Lion-O, honestly. Lion-O was my favorite figure of 2016 just because of my love for ThunderCats. But in terms of an overall figure, I really like what they did with Jackalman. I think he got a better treatment than he deserves in terms of the character he is. So you know, I don't really think we could have asked for too much more out of this one. So that's going to do it for this review. As always, stay tuned to Toy Bro for more reviews, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.